Yo, what's good, guys? Scrubbed here. Just doing a little quick video while I set up this ladder, just to kind of document it and kind of show how ladder settings work. So I'm setting it up for Jumpstart right now. Ladder settings are kind of weird because if you go into events and you try and like edit the ladder settings, it's not actually gonna show you the settings that you want for the ladder. It like these general settings aren't gonna do anything. Um, you can have a registration cap. Like this isn't really what you're looking for, right? Deadlines, rules pricing, that's not what you want. So how you actually find the ladder settings that you need to edit is you need to click on the events tab, you need to click on ultimate ladder, you need to click on brackets, and then you need to click on overview. Actually, no, I was just in the right page, I believe. You need to get to this page basically. So you need to get to settings here because these are the settings that'll actually affect it and change what you need to change in Ultimate Ladder. So let me go through what all these mean. So participation requirements controls what players are eligible to participate in the ladder for. So you can either have all registered attendees, so any StartGG attendee can be able to play in your ladder. That's what I like to do, or must register for the event. So this makes sense if it's kind of more of like a private ladder or whatever. Personally, I just do this so then people don't have to tell you to like add them to the ladder or whatever. And then right under this, this is probably the most important thing you need to know is queue enabled. Controls whether players are allowed to queue for the ladder basically. People already in queue will still get paired, be able to complete their sets. When you click this this overview screen where I was just at, players are able to queue. So like let me save this real quick. But when I go back to the overview, it says matchmaking is currently offline. If I click queue enable, I don't want to do it right now, but it'll show that matchmaking is live, right? And then so also here's the queue disabled message. So right now it's showing matchmaking is currently offline, right? So if you want to change it or whatever, you can change that. Something I like to put here is that to check and make sure that you're logged in, because a mistake that's happened for a couple players is they're like, why am I not in the ladder? Can you add me to the ladder or whatever? And I look at their phone and they're just not logged into StartGG. So make sure you can put that as in this queue disabled message if you want. I don't want to type with one hand right now, but if it's like you just probably put matchmaking disabled, make sure you're logged in or whatever, because all the registered attendees are set up or whatever. So and then down here in more of the settings, pairing rematch avoidance. Players will not be rematched with anyone they have completed a match with in the last defined minutes. I would definitely make sure and set this for like anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how many people are queuing in your ladder. Because otherwise, what will happen if you set this to 0, which has happened to us before, and like the first time we tested ladder, is 2 players get done, and then they both go back in a queue. There's not really anyone else that was like waiting on the queue or whatever. Might be like one person, and then those 2 players get queued up again, and that's never a good thing to happen. There's a player at Smashworks that was kind of upset about that because they kept getting queued into the same player. Good shit, Mario. Mario was the player that player did not want to get queued into, but yeah. But anyways, yeah. So sets on deck, or extra sets that will get called. This is if you have specific setups that you have for your ladder, which I don't fully know. This is kind of just the extra sets that will get called after you like make a setup limit, I suppose, which I haven't looked into quite yet. But don't mess with this. Check-in time, I think 3 minutes is good. Best of 3 is good. And then make sure you also, instead of immediately, do after check-in. So opponent display option after check-in, because if you do immediately, a player's opponent will be displayed immediately after the match. What's going to happen is they're going to go find each other, and then what happens is one of them doesn't check into the match sometimes. And so if that happens, then the person that doesn't check in will, I believe, leave the queue, but then the person that checked into their match, the ladder will find them another opponent. So it'll give them another match, and someone else that's like queuing will find that person, and then those 2 people that are like still playing, their match doesn't actually exist or whatever. It's a huge problem. So I definitely make sure and just do after check-in. So then obviously just save these settings. And then one more thing, so page settings. So I like to have a ladder tab page enabled. So we'll just name it Ultimate Ladder. So, and then also actually here, this unregistered message, this is probably another place that you'd put it, to just say make sure to sign in or whatever. Sorry, I'm going to type slow because I'm doing this with one hand. But just make sure that people know that, because that is by far like the biggest like mistake of people. Like, why is the ladder not working? You know, it's because they're not logged into their StartGG account or whatever. You know, so make sure to sign into your account. All registered attendees are added to the ladder or whatever, you know. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Standings, this is like the leaderboard, right? Matches this is like where all the players can see the matches. However, and I believe as a TO you can report here too. I don't like to do that though. I like to, when I set this up, I go into settings. It has to be on an admin or like on a mod laptop or whatever. Go to settings and then go to match dashboard, and then it'll pull up a nice big screen. Make sure you're on Ultimate Ladder, by the way. Pull up a nice big screen of like what I just looked up, and the matches will automatically go here, basically to report one. I'll go back to where the matches are set up right here. Basically, to report one though, all the TOs have to do is just click on that lightning bolt, report the match, you know, and then their match is just good. And then once that's reported, the next players can, or those two players can then queue up for another match. So this is where I would have your TOs go. Personally, I think you should probably have 2 laptops or 2 people. You can run ladder with one, especially if it's a smaller, like 20, 30 person ladder. I think at bigger events, you should definitely try and have 2 TO or 2 laptops at least, because you can have like 5, 6 people in line, or even more than that, like trying to report a score to you. So I think I definitely think it's nice to have 2 if you can. I remember the GOML 2022 ladder. It was just this poor guy that, like, I mean, they probably paid him. I don't know how much they paid him, but he wasn't getting paid much. And there was like a swarm of people just around him, and he got this like bad laptop that was running StartGG. It was barely running, you know, and there were so many people trying to report their matches because then they could queue into their other matches. They were also reliant on him to find their setups too. So, something I liked about Big House's ladder is how they had it set up is you would just queue and it would just give you the setup number, and then you would just go to that setup basically, and then that was how you would find your opponent. How we kind of do it is at our events is a little more grassroots currently, because we kind of just, when you queue, you kind of go and try and find your opponent, and then you go to a ladder setup, right? So that's one thing that's pretty nice about if you have that setup. And if you have a designated ladder setup, usually what happens at our events though, and why we haven't really kind of done that up to this point, is because like the amount of setups we have dedicated to ladder usually fluctuates a lot. I'm excited because for our next event we'll have like a dedicated ladder setup space, you know. So that will be where the ladder matches happen. Don't play your ladder matches on any of the other setups, you know. And once we get that, then we can number the setups, and you know, so it'll be a little more automated like that. However, we haven't run into any problems, so I don't think it's super necessary. All you really need to know to set up the ladder is the stuff I talked about earlier. Know how to find your ladder settings, because that's huge. You can't find it in this settings here for some reason. I don't know why. Just go public, Ultimate Ladder. You gotta click on the event, gotta go to bracket, and then it should pop this thing up. And then if you're on a mod account or signed in or whatever, you have access to these settings. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. See ya.